Pixel 2 and 2XL revisited. Coming up right now. Let's go. Fall 2018 Nick Ackerman merchandise now available, ranging from long sleeve tees all the way to hoodies and iPhone and Galaxy cases. Check it out, link down below in the description. So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology, and welcome to my Pixel 2 and Pixel 2 XL revisited video. In this video, I'm going to explain to you what it's been like to use both of these. I have extensive experience with both devices, and they have now been receiving big discounts on both carriers and third-party people trying to get rid of them to get the Pixel 3 and 3 XL. So these have received some nice discounts if you're in the market to get an older Pixel 2 and 2 XL. It's kind of funny we're saying older. These phones are coming out so fast. But the Pixel 2, I'm going to begin with the design and then the design of the Pixel 2 XL. Over my time using it, I didn't really like the bezels. At first, I didn't really care, but they started to grow on me as more designs came out that really pushed away from bezels. So now this is like kind of like, I don't really like it anymore with these bezels. They're really chunky. I did like that for a small display, it was 16:9, so it did show quite a bit of content, even though it was a smaller 5-inch display. I really liked how light this design was at 143 grams, one of the featherweight phones you could buy of 2017 going into 2018. And I like this back down here because it was more durable than a lot of the fragile glass phones that are on the market. I wasn't as scared to drop this device versus like, you know, an iPhone, for example, or a Galaxy phone with those glass designs. Now, I did like this camera on the rear. It was a pretty flat, flush design. I mean, it comes up a little bit, but very slight. And the Pixel 2 was one of the only compact phones that was like flagship of last year. Not a lot of compact phones were out that were flagship level like this device. So this was one for the people who like one-handed phones, but it didn't do so well just because it wasn't, you know, 18:9 and stuff like that. However, I would call this design utilitarian, practical, and useful, even though it's not really that flashy. It's actually rather boring looking. Now, moving on to the Pixel 2 XL, I really did like this one as well, especially this panda color edition. It had a really unique flair. Not a lot of phones really look like this. You have an orange button right here, white contrasting the black. Just a beautiful, like, unique design. Now, a lot of people didn't like this design, but really design's subjective. I just got to say that this one felt more 2017. It felt more in line with the trends. The bezels were a little bit thicker than what you would see on like a Galaxy Note 8, Galaxy S8 Plus of the time, but still, even the iPhone 10 kind of outdid this one when it comes to stretching more screen, having less of a chin than the Pixel 2 XL, but it did have front-firing speakers and it was really light for this size. So at 175 grams, it's one of the lightest phones in a 6-inch body, which was always comfortable. On the whole, these devices just felt utilitarian, practical, and they didn't feel like anything flashy, but still very useful. And one of the best things is that they were really light. Okay, guys, so let's talk about displays. The Pixel 2 XL actually got a lot of heat for having a lot of blue shift on this panel, also not being very, you know, vibrant with the colors, just very dull. And I gotta be honest, of all the OLED screens I have seen, like the Note series, the Samsung S9 series, the Apple series, this one definitely is one of the worst ones I've seen. Over here on the Pixel 2, you can see XL. Look at that blue shift right there. Now take a look at this guy, for example, much wider on the angles. This is a clear example of what all that was about here. And this is actually noticeable when you're reading an article, even on this angle right here. When you're reading an article, you can actually see it shifting. If you're like moving in your bed or whatever, you're moving your head while you're reading, you'll actually see the colors move in that article, and it can be rather distracting. So you can see the Pixel 2, the smaller one, had a much better display. This one I actually had no issues with. The small one, this one I did say in my honest feelings, it didn't bother me too much, and it's still a good display, which it is. It's still a very sharp resolution, and video watching is good. I think most people are not really going to pay attention to this unless you're really looking for it, but at the same time, when we're talking about the money we pay for these phones these days, the Pixel 2 XL definitely has a disappointing display if you compare it to the competition. However, what I did like about it is how sharp it was and how large it was. You know, 538 pixels per inch is a huge density compared to a lot of other, you know, devices. So Google did add color modes in here. So if you go into colors, you can change it to saturated, boosted, and natural. And before it was like on this natural mode. So you can see just how dull this is. There's like no life to these colors on this display in this mode. But when you go into saturated, it gets much more punchy on the display. And I think that's what people were complaining about at first. That was fixed, no problems there. You can get a much more vibrant Pixel 2 XL right now than ever before. But overall, I think that the smaller one had the better quality display of these two, but you got a less resolution, but you still had a better quality panel. This year's Pixel 3 and 3 XL have fixed that tremendously. But be aware that if you buy a Pixel 2 XL or 2 right now, you're not buying one of the best displays in the industry. You're buying just a pretty good display. Now, in terms of their software, they're running Android 9 Pie. It brings the new gesture-based OS here to the Pixel series, and it's going to be coming to way more Android phones soon. But the Pixel phones have had these for quite some time now. This software, you can see kind of a new notification center as well up here, and you do have it just kind of has a theme as well. You can make it dark and not, and you can also make your app drawer dark at nighttime. So there's a lot of nice features and additions, adaptive battery modes that come to Android 9 Pie. But the most thing I really like about it is just how smooth it feels. It feels super smooth in comparison to a lot of other Android phones on the market, and that's really Pixel's staple, is having that buttery smooth software on board. And that's something that I never had an issue with. Anytime I used the Pixel 2 or 2 XL, I was always relying on this software to be very smooth and efficient. Now, I do find a series like the OnePlus 6 and like the upcoming 6T, I know they're going to be faster devices, but the animations don't look quite as good to me as like on a Pixel device. So if you like that smooth feel like you see on an iPhone, for example, and you want to try Android, this is going to be the way to go. Is the Pixel 2, 2 XL, 3, 3 XL. These devices will be level of smooth that you're looking for. Now, it does multitask, does do split screen, so I really just like the software. It's clean, there's not much to talk about, it gets the job done, it's Android. It's utilitarian, it's practical, and it just works. If you're in the Google ecosystem, it definitely just works. One thing I don't like about Android 9 Pie and just Google, the way they're going in general, it just seems like everything is just tracking you and everything you're doing. Now, I do understand they're trying to tailor this experience to basically give you a better experience because it's going to suggest things you like, stuff like that. It does make sense and it does work sometimes, but I really just don't like how ads are always tracking me in the browser. I'm seeing ads on stuff I searched. You know, it even tracks your voice. If you don't set it up correctly, you can actually, it records everything you're saying to Google Assistant. And sometimes the Google Assistant will just pop up randomly and it's kind of creepy, to be quite honest. So I don't like that aspect of Android in general, but I do like the Google Pixel 2 and 2 XL overall software experience. It's super smooth, super fast. And if you're in the Google ecosystem, use maps and all that stuff, it is stellar. So how do they perform now that's about a year old with this device? Now, both of these do have Snapdragon 835, 4 gigabytes of RAM, and they're pretty quick. I mean, they're not the fastest phones, by far not the fastest phone, but it's that software optimization that really gives them the edge over a lot of other devices. Some people have been reporting lag with the Pixel 2 XL, and I can say that it doesn't run quite as fast as I would like anymore. So if you're looking for maybe a better device, you'll probably want that Pixel 3 XL that is coming out. But on the whole, I think it's not that bad in terms of their performance. So if you're using these on the day-to-day, it's going to probably last at least a couple more years in terms of being smooth and efficient. No issues whatsoever when it comes to the Snapdragon 835. I just think the 4 gigabytes of RAM just bottlenecks this a couple of times, whereas you'll see phones like the OnePlus 6 with 8 gigabytes of RAM that can really hold its own. So if you're listening, Google, I'd like to see more RAM on these upcoming Pixels of next year, the Pixel 4 and 4 XL. So revisiting the cameras on the Pixel 2 and 2 XL, the actual showstopper of these devices was their cameras. For having single cameras, these were competitive with dual cameras. Quite honestly, the only thing that it couldn't compete with is the massive zoom. When you went way out on the zoom, then you might lose a little bit of detail. But the smart algorithms in this camera are just incredible. And I think that 2018, these are still some of the best cameras on any smartphone, even beating most that just come out right now. So this was way ahead of its time when it comes to the camera. Look at the detail, but seriously, this thing is just crazy when it comes to the camera. I don't even want to talk too much about it. I just want to show you the examples. You can see it's got that stock kind of look and feel. It's not that, extensive when it comes to pro modes. You got slow motion, panorama, photosphere, and portrait and AR lens and stickers settings. Not too much going on in this camera UI. Very simple, straightforward. It's more of a point and shoot style camera. So if you're in that pro mode, you probably won't like Pixel 2 and 2 XL's cameras. But if you just want to point and shoot, these are good cameras. Go ahead and check out my samples and let me know your thoughts on the Pixel 2 and 2 XL. Okay, so let me discuss battery life. First of all, Android 9 Pie has basically killed my battery on the Pixel 2. The smaller device hasn't been doing very well at all in my experience. It might be because I haven't managed it properly, I don't know, but I've been seeing some massive standby drain on this guy. I went to sleep the other day, 80%, woke up with 24. I was like, whoa. So this phone right here, not too impressive. The Pixel 2, the smaller device, was never super impressive for me, to be quite honest. The Pixel 2 XL actually is doing okay on Android 9 Pie, not too much different from Android 8.1 that I had on this before, but still it's a little bit worse than what I had on Android Oreo. So this one's still getting me through a day quite easily, the Pixel 2 XL, but the small one I wouldn't recommend if you're looking for a battery champ right now. This small Pixel 2 just doesn't cut it when it comes to the battery. You will need a battery pack with this phone. This one you could probably get through a day rather easily on the Pixel 2 XL. So that's my conclusion on the battery. The big one is the one you want for battery life. Now I want to wrap it up by talking about storage. These are both 64 gig models. I never see the need for more than that. We have things like streaming these days. You also have Google storage like unlimited. They give you like a lot of years of high quality storage when you buy Pixel devices, especially when you buy them new. And that makes up for it because it has smart storage on here. So storage was never an issue even with 64 gigs on these devices. So don't be put off by that if you're looking for one with 64 gigabytes. Audio on the front of these devices, speakers firing from the front, pretty loud I found, but they have been outdone by some of the newer devices, the Galaxies with the Dolby Atmos, as well as the newer iPhone XS, XS Max. I'll have to test out the Pixel 3 speakers. These did have really nice directional sound, but they weren't the loudest I have heard on a smartphone, but still way better than having a speaker down here. So audio I did like. No headphone jack though I didn't like. So there's no headphone jack on these guys, and the dongle on the Pixel 2 and 2 XL were pretty big, so it wasn't the nicest looking dongle either. So didn't really like that fact, but still good directional audio, just not super loud. Seeing their phone call quality, I found that the Pixel 2, the smaller one, actually had better phone call quality than this larger, LG manufactured Pixel 2 XL. I had a lot of drop calls and people saying they couldn't hear me on the Pixel 2 XL, so much so that I couldn't use this all the time as my daily driver because the phone call quality wasn't great for my 2 XL. But the 2 was a little bit better. It still wasn't the best, but a little bit better. I would say these are below average in terms of phone call quality compared to a lot of the competition on the 2 and 2 XL. Conclusion, the Pixel 2 and 2 XL, are they a good investment right now? And the answer to that question is it depends. Do you want to get a decent amount back on your resale value? I don't think these are going to be great phones for that. They're going to drop significantly as more Pixel devices come out, more devices do launch. These do have a good investment when it comes to software. So if you plan on using these and not selling them, actually using them for a long time, they will be updated significantly longer than other Android devices. So in that respect, if you are planning on keeping the device and you want a really updated device, you really will still like the Pixel 2 and 2 XL. So that's it. That's my Pixel 2 and 2 XL revisited. These have been pretty good smartphones. I don't think that they were mind-blowingly great. They were just really good standard utilitarian smartphones. So that's my take on these. Let me know your thoughts down below. Are you picking up a Pixel 2 or a 2 XL? Do you already have one? Did you sell it off? Did you hate it? Did you love it? Let us know. Nick here, helping you to master your technology. Thank you very much for watching. I will catch you all in the next one. Don't forget to subscribe on your way out. Be sure to be well and peace.